Right then, next thing up is to get the body geometry, the skin mesh, to follow the skeleton. So let's just say we're going to need to see the joints for this. What we don't need to see for this are locators and IK handles and things like that. So we can kind of go, don't need IK handles and don't need locators. So we're just down to the basics now. Right, so it's under the rigging menu. There you go. Skin, there we go. Right, so a bit like the other constraints, bits and pieces, we need to be able to select the body mesh, which we've got that unreferenced there. So we get the root joint. Note that the inverse joints are not part of that hierarchy. So that's how those foot rigs work. They're not part of the overall joint hierarchy. So we've got the hierarchy, everything down from the root joint. Shift select skin mesh. What it doesn't include the hat and the eyes because they're animated separately. And we go skin, find skin. We open the dialog. And we go yes to the joint hierarchy. Note that we can do it to object hierarchy or selected joints. So if we want to do a small skin to a section of joints, we can do that if we want to. But for this joint hierarchy, bind method closest distance is fine. I like weight blended for skinning method. So we'll go to weight blended, interactive distance, maximum influences. You can normally get away with just 3 joints. This is how many joints will influence any particular vertex, but I mean 5 is okay. It just means you've probably got some more painting to do. Weight distribution, distance is fine. All the bits and pieces, everything else. Apply. And then close. There we go. So first off, what it does is it puts you colorization on the joints to say this is the joint hierarchy and how it's in. So if I just get the waist controller, you'll see that already this guy's kind of working. And in fact now, just so we can see what we're doing a little bit, let's just knock the joints out so we can see what he looks like as an animated character. So that's that foot control there. So that's kind of working. That's the rotates. That's not too bad as far as weight distribution goes. Foot roll, those other joints aren't in there, so the joints work. Just take the mesh. That's looking okay. Toe bend. Whoop. So you can see maybe a little bit too much of the middle of the foot is being influenced by the toe joint, but it's not too bad. Let's have a look at this guy. You can mirror weights, so you only have to weight up one side of the body, hit F. Let's just have a look. Yeah, okay, so the hand joint is influencing too much of the wrist there. Okay, you can see this pulling the wrist around. The elbow doesn't look too bad. Probably it's collapsing a little bit, it's okay. Put that back. There we go. Let's have a look at the shoulder. So your main thing, once you've done the skin thing, is right, okay, look. So something in the arm is influencing the edge there, and then the upper arm is pushing the chest around too much. Okay, so let's just see. Work our way around the mesh. So that's the head controller. It's not too bad. You might want to do something there. You see the eyes follow now as well as the skin do because they're rigged separately. I mean, temporarily we could just parent the hat to there, although that's not really where we want it to be as part of the rig because it doesn't then allow us to vary at what it's following. Right, okay. Neck control. Okay, neck's influencing a bit too much of the chest. Up into 0, yeah. What else? Oh yeah, the other thing to check would be sometimes you get left foot influencing right foot. Right, see that there? So the leg is pulling around too much of that. Right, okay, so now you've worked out what is and isn't influencing things a bit too much. Bring your joints back in again. Select skin, and we can go skin, paint skin weights, woof. We need to get the dialog open, so the tool settings are here. Right, so your joints color coded, but we've named them all wonderfully, so that's fine. So really, the root joint doesn't need to have anything following it, because the pelvis will take everything south of the waistband, and then it'll be spine joint 01 that will take it going further up. Right, so painting weights, it's a brush-based tool, so you can see that. So hold B key and left click and drag will alter the size of your brush, same as all my brush tools. And you've got some bits and pieces here. So paint operation is replace. So if you kind of go spine joint 01, I'm going to replace an influence with the spine joint 01 there with a value of 1, which means I can say the spine, I'm going to bring the size of the brush down a little bit. Spine 01, which is the bottom joint there, wants to influence this more. Yeah? And so that will influence that bit more there. And you can see, and it's actually the vertices that it's painting on. So although okay, I'll do that onto that waistline a little bit there. So if I want to now come out of that tool, if I just select that and go skin, mirror skin weights, we can go ZY, so Z is the front, Y is the up, so yeah, ZY, positive to negative, so we've just been painting on the positive and go apply, close, and so now if I go back to the skin weighting tool, you can see that what I painted on the left has been mirrored on the right there. So we could just go back and just test again. W, forget that one. Is that right? Yeah, we've got the joints and so that's going to confuse me. Right, so you can see that's staying a bit more in place than what it was before, but also that means that pelvis needs to influence that a bit more. So if I come back in here, select that, go paint skin weights. Quite often it's easier to where's pelvis joint, there we go. So I want a bit more solidity to the pelvis down between the legs there. Don't want it to do the top of the leg too much, but definitely a bit more there, definitely a little bit more there. Into the centre of the body, yeah. Okay, so now normally I just wait till the end to paint mirror weights, but if I go skin, mirror skin weights, it will do whatever the settings was before. So now if I select to go paint skin weights, you can see that that's mirrored across, which is fine. Which now means that we can see, having done that, I'm picking the wrong thing. Now, the leg is affecting that waistline only a tiny little bit. I can paint those out because we can go back to here and kind of go back to skin weights. And we can go left hip joint, which is here, and you can see that you've got a little bit of influence there. So we can actually go replace with a value of 0. And so now we can paint out any influence of that leg joint on that waist there, and you can actually do the right hip joint as well. So you can see all that, and we can remove it. So now, if we go select and move, and we get that foot controller and do that. Now, the legs don't affect that at all, because we just said don't affect that. But what you've got now is you've got more of a crease there, where I've toughened up that bind onto the pelvis there. So really, going back to the skin here, where I'm going pelvis joint, I can go to value 1 or low. Just this is where we are before, but I can go smooth, and it changes the action completely. And I can smooth the influence there between the pelvis joint and the thigh joint. And again, I would normally just work on one side and then mirror it afterwards. But having done that, you can just go back in and check. Oh, that. Now you're getting less of a crease. Well, I'm still getting quite a bit of a crease there. So that just means I need to go into the thigh joint. You can leave it up like that. Okay, right. Left thigh. Left hip joint, there you go. Yeah, right, I need more of an influence there. Am I on the right one? Left hip joint. Yeah, that's because I'm on smooth still. Plonker. Replace, there you go. I wonder it wasn't doing very much. There you go. Whee. Is that too much? It probably is a bit too much. Let's go back to smooth. It's mainly because it's hidden and I can't see it. It pushes up a bit, but it should look okay. There we go. That'll do. Don't look too bad. Select to move, there you go. Yeah, creases a bit, but it's fine. That looks okay. Ankle looks fine. Oh yeah. Ankle pulling up the heel like that, which is not necessarily good, so we want left ankle joint. Need more here. There, replace, thank you. There you go. Okay. Looks better. W. No, not that joint, that controller. Oh, yeah. So again, just check. Sometimes you have to just hide the joints out so you can see what you're doing a bit better. Not that mesh. That. Foot roll. Yeah. That looks a bit better. That'll do. Okay. I want to look at your hands. Not too bad. Bring the joints back in. So, I mean, this is just faffy, really. So, we're on left. Boom, boom, boom. Wrist joint, there we go. So that first joint probably goes into the hand a little bit more there, so we can kind of go value 0. Brush is way too big to do this with, so something like that. So we can paint out some of the fingers' influence on them. If I go F, no it doesn't. You kind of have to, if you're working on an area, this is so annoying, you would just go, select that controller, go F, so now the camera goes around that. And then you select out that, and then go back to the skin. I mean, there's ways and means of doing it, but it can be a complete pain when you have to drop in and out of areas. Okay, well let's just see if I go back to this guy, go bend. So you can see that it's collapsing out a little bit. Does that bother me? See, that looks fine there, it's that one. So if I go back to the see, I don't think this joint I've got a value of nothing else. It's sometimes it's the other joints. They're having a little bit too much influence in the next bit down. And that's why you get that flattening. So if I do that and go back to there, where's the bend going? Right, so there you see, that stops that collapsing. You get some creasing, but that looks better. So I would do that with all the fingers, basically. Done. And that's just a matter of going through that systematically. Right, okay. Back to I'll do that. F, so no, wrist control, please. Yeah, F. Yeah, so we're now going around the wrist control, select that, go to skin. Boom. This is that. So we want wrist, C. I don't want the wrist control to be. So I could do the elbow and say, I could go elbow 1 and say all the way around here, you need to be absolutely rock solid. But you can also go to the wrist joint and you can kind of go 0. Don't pull this around at all, you pain. And so then you paint out the influence. So you can add in the influence and you can paint out the influence depending on what you want. So having done that now, we can go back to here and kind of go, is that, yeah, it's still tugging the sleeve around a bit. So, skin. Can you see? Yeah, maybe go, make it bigger, paint out any influence. It's mainly the vertex that you're looking for. Okay. Now we've done that, go E, press control again. Okay, we're nearly there with that. And just take a bit, possibly a little bit more fine painting, just to paint the influences absolutely right, but it'll do for now. You'll certainly be able to animate with it. And then, yeah, here. So left shoulder joint there, that left shoulder joint is doing way too much there. So value of 0, we don't want the shoulder joint influencing that at all. Same with here. and also the clavicle joint. Doesn't really want to be doing the underarm at all. The clavicle joint only really wants to be doing the top of the shoulder. Right. So let's have a look at the left shoulder joint then. Shoulder joint's doing that. Yeah, so we've got a value of 0, so that ear, which was following that upper arm, if you remember at the beginning of the video, paint that out. And then the neck joint, which is going to be spine. There you go. Neck joint again. Don't want anything down in the body done. The neck joint, nothing in the shoulder. And quite frankly, we don't really want the neck joint influencing the head too much. We want a little bit of trade-off down at the bottom here. But apart from that, nothing much at all. Now the one thing that I've not really set up is the jaw. Because I mean the jaw, I was going to put it in as an addition to the mouth shapes, so you can just pull the bottomless around a little bit, which we could do. So if we want a jaw end joint and jaw joint there, see that's too much. I mean literally it would just want to be just a little bit there, so none of this guys, none of this. Without hiding the hat, which we should do really, we should hide that. Let's do that, shall we, so we can just see what I'm doing on the top of the head. Display, hide selection, there we go. Cool. Paint skin weights. Yeah, so make sure everything else up there is gone. Right, okay, cool. So let's just see if I go skin, where are skin weights? There we go. So the influence of the jaw joint is just this, is that I just thought you could do that. And you see it's still influencing way too much. But that might be both the jaw and the jaw end, so I don't with my tool settings, there they are. Boom, 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 boom. Jaw end, yeah. So jaw end wants to be 0. So big end just kind of going, none of you, thank you very much. Jaw end, nothing, just the jaw joint. Boom. You know, and then it's just set up a little bit of rotate Z as a custom attribute. So jaw movement is just that. You can see that you can move the mouth shape around a little bit, so you could set that as a custom attribute if you wanted to. I'll do that in a minute. Okay, so let's just have a look here. Show joints, let's get rid of them. Right, so now W, move the hand down, E, rotates fine, shoulders fine, elbows fine, got local set up, but that'll do for now. E, so we just need to sort out that these are all working fine. So they all seem to be okay. Bend is working okay. So it's all posable, that's all fine. The only other thing we've got to do, I suppose, now that this is all working okay, is that. So go display, show, that's hidden. And it's parented, but we want to be able to take it on and off.